Lady Row, yeah, it's Lady Row, let's go. Lady Row on the scene, we worldwide. Travel and reality, big truth, no hide. Step on the beat, yeah, we take that flight. Tune in, lock in, we shine all night. City lights, island breeze, I narrow. Drama on the screen and the trip's first rate. Keep it raw, keep it real, let the people know. A voice of the culture, that's Lady Row. Lady Row on the scene, we worldwide. Travel and reality, big truth, no hype. Step on the beat, yeah, we take that flight. Tune in, lock in, we shine all night. Travel the globe, breaking down the shows. One name, one voice, Lady Row. Lady Row, Lady Row. Lady Row on the scene, we worldwide. Travel and reality, big truth, no hide. Step on the beat, yeah, we take that flight. Tune in, lock in, we shine all night. Travel the globe, breaking down the shows. One name, one voice, Lady Row. Lady Row, Lady Row. Lady Row on the scene, we worldwide. Travel and reality, big truth, no hide. Step on the beat, yeah, we take that flight. Tune in, lock in, we shine all night. Travel the globe, breaking down the shows. One name, one voice, Lady Row. 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 Lady Row.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I had to keep putting it off. Just when I was getting ready to go live, my phone rings. I participate in this thing every year called Danae and Blah, and this year I decided to be a table leader. So we're trying to get some things settled so we can get dinner in. Well, Danae and Blah means just dinner in white. I'm sure you guys have seen it on YouTube where you see a group of people in white. In fact, let me share a Danae and Blah post. First, let me say some pleasantries. Good morning, Alicia. Good morning, Annette Johnson. Thank you guys for joining me this morning. I am glad you are here. Let me pull up. In fact, I'll pull up my own video from Danae and Blah from last year. I have been an audience member for years. And this year I decided that I would actually attend. Let me find my own page. Where's my page? That's what happens when you don't. Girl, is this me? Yeah. Oh, no. All right, you guys. Give me 1 minute. And I'll bring you guys over here with me so you can see what I'm looking at. Good morning, Lucy. Thanks for joining this morning. We got some things that's been going on in the world. I just thought today would be a great day to just sit down and chit chat. So let's look over here, Danae and Blah. I'm going to show you what it actually entails. This is the area that I have an issue with it and don't like it and have a complaint. I've gone, this will be my third session, and every time I've gone, I've enjoyed myself. I think anything you do in life, you get out of it what you put in it. That's just my opinion. No one has to agree with me, but that's just my opinion. I took down my green screen. It makes my background looks crazy. Let me see if I can switch it because I don't like that. But yeah, so that is actually what I have been doing this morning, which was talking to the lady who is over it all and trying to get my stuff situated because she had somebody else on my profile, and this is new for me being a table leader. So I just wanted to make sure I had everything straight And of course, I'm nervous about it. The event isn't until next month, but I want to make sure everything is good. I want to be a great table leader. I want to be a person who does what they're supposed to do. I want to follow the rules, all that fun stuff. Good morning, Queen Script. Thanks for joining. I love it. I love Danae and Blah. Me and my niece go together every year. And my husband, he's never attended. He may want to attend this year. I don't know. And my niece's husband may want to attend. So we may end up, because being table leader, I didn't have to actually pay for my ticket. So if my husband wants to go, my nephew wants to go, I'll definitely pay for them as a group to come with us and be a part of our table. They can carry the load and carry the tables. We would have to, of course, buy another table, because I bought a table for our first event, which the table has to be so long, so wide. You have to bring your own tablecloth, your own table settings, your own centerpieces, and everybody just tries to make the event the best as it could be. I enjoy Danae and Blah. Is one of something I look forward to this time of the year every single year. Also, I want to talk about something. I want to clear up something, because I don't like misinformation. Lady Rowe, rather, because I don't like misinformation. I don't like it at all. So let me clear this up. The other day we were talking about the gentleman who passed away, Charlie Kirk. And I was talking about how important it is to be a part. I know sometimes we don't like to talk about politicians and politics, but it's important that we are a part. Good morning, bad girl Riri. Okay, thanks for even sitting in the bushes. Hopefully I won't talk too loud, because I won't disturb your meeting. But I was talking about how we don't, maybe that is politics can be uncomfortable, but we definitely need to be sitting at the table. We need those seats at the table. Well, in doing so, good morning, living for me. And I actually mentioned about us not voting in our local elections. And please tap the like button. I'm sorry I didn't say that originally. Us not being a part, us not actually getting a seat at the table, because of the very fact that we aren't out voting in our local elections and our county and state elections. We sit at home a lot of times when we should be out voting. And I mentioned that, and I mentioned some of the things that were changed in our recent elections, especially with the president. He removed a lot of subsidies. And a young lady got in the chat, I think her name was Michelle, and she said, we don't have subsidies, we have entitlements. But I was correct about the subsidies. So let's talk about the difference between subsidies and entitlements. There's a key difference in that subsidies are financial benefits given to individuals, businesses, or institutions to achieve a specific goal, economic and social goals, while entitlement programs are legal mandates guaranteeing benefits to all who meet established eligibility criteria. Subsidies are policy driven and can have a limit or an unlimited scope, whereas entitlement benefits are a right for eligible citizens and are not dependent or discretionary budget allocations. Okay, so that when we talk about entitlements would be food stamps, would be things. I had a list of things that would be entitlement listing. Let me see if I can find them. Entitlements would be things like Social Security, Medicare, and food stamps, which is SNAP benefits. So when we talk about subsidies would be assistance for small business loans, assistance for state, local, and tribal governments, which like our Indian reservations, those kind of assistance for HUD, Section 8, those are subsidies, right? Whereas, I was talking about HUD, I wasn't talking about food stamps. So the government does both, but the key difference is subsidies are made to lower costs, promote specific industries, address market failures, and encourage certain activities. Examples would be government grants to businesses, tax reductions, or price supports for agriculture. Medicaid is also a subsidized thing because it's subsidized by the government, but your state is the one who pushes it. Funding. Funds come from government budgets, but also be funded by private entities or international organizations. These are subsidies. Scope, they can target an individual, a specific industry, or a business. So we talk about Medicaid. Those are subsidies. That is a subsidized thing because it is given from, part of it comes from the state, part of it comes from your federal government. Medicare is actually a subsidy because it is a you pay into it, but it comes from the state. Social Security is also a subsidized thing. So when we want to be clear, when we start talking about politics, I don't want somebody throwing in something that they may not have knowledge about, because it is so important that we give out correct information to the general public. We have a duty and an obligation when you stand on any platform and talk to anybody out in these publications, which we call the public, that we give them clear, concise, and correct information. And when you find that your information is incorrect, you bring the correct information to the general public. Entitlement programs. They are to provide social safety nets and ensure access to essential services for qualifying citizens, such as food stamps. Examples would be Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Also, although they're subsidized programs, they also can be entitlement programs. They are also entitlement programs. Right? Let me correct that. They are also entitlement, although they are subsidized by the government. Funding through taxes and spending levels are determined by the number of eligible recipients and the cost of the benefits, not by annual budget decisions. Scope. The entitlements are for individuals and are based on meeting specific criteria like age, income, and disability. The key difference when you summarize them, entitlements are legally mandated benefits for individuals, while subsidies are financial incentives for policies and goals. The eligibility entitlements go to anyone who meets eligibility requirements, regardless of income. Subsidies may target specific groups, but not necessarily on a broad automatic basis. Funding. Entitlement spending is determined by the number of people who qualify. Subsidies are tied to policy goals and may have fixed budgets or may be a part of a broader economic strategy. So when I was talking about Section 8 being a subsidy, my whole point was that they have a budget. So they can only take in so many people because of that budget. Whereas food stamps, you actually can do a plethora of people because your eligibility gives you the criteria for you don't hear people in Social Security say, "Oh, we ran out of money." No, because it is an entitlement. Whereas Section 8 is a subsidy. It's subsidized by the government. Medicaid is an entitlement, but it also is subsidized by the government. Your state pays part of this year alone. I've paid a lot of money. I paid someone's salary into benefits that I would probably never ever enjoy, right? And I'm blessed to be able to have a decent job, but look at the money that I lose. I spend, regardless of my check, my deductions are $1,500 every 2 weeks. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's deductions, and this not include no health care insurance. My husband carries our health care insurance, so to me that is expensive. Let's go over here and see what y'all talk about in the chat. Please tap that like button. Contrary to belief, New York City takes care of poor people. Most red Bible Belt state governments do nothing except protest abortions, affordable housing, and food stamps. Horrible. Oh, Queen Script, we're going to talk about that today. Excuse me. Y'all, give me a minute. Let me pick up my cell phone. It just fell behind me. All right. Because I may need it to chit chat. Somebody just text me. I'm sure it's that lady. Okay, yes. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm sorry. Trying to do two things at the same time. Was actually supposed to be talking last night and she wasn't available last night. She is a very strong businesswoman. But Queen Script, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the very fact that these red states, we're going to talk about the red states. Somebody put in the chat, we're going to talk about the red states. Let's chit chat about the red states today. Hello, Brown Girl Rocks. Good to see you in the chat. Hey, Miss AKA, my love. How's Coco Chanel doing today? I am here. I was cooking. Oh, girl, what you cooking today? Tell us all about it. Living for me. Thank you for being here, Miss AKA, our Queen Script, Brown Girls Rocks, Bad Girl Riri, Lucy, Annette Johnson, Alicia. Thank you guys for being here. She said, let's see, where we at? The lack of funding for lower income folks causes more crime. You cannot see people with all this wealth and not keep the masses quiet. They will rebel and steal. Preach, Queen Script, preach. That indeed is a fact. No matter how we look at it, that indeed is a fact. I live in a red state is awful. I live in a red state as well. Brown Girl Rocks. We're going to talk about these red states. 15 bean soup. Oh, that sounds delicious. Girl, mail me a bowl to my house. Yes, North Carolina sucks, baby. Hey, Kashara's Kitchen. Aren't you supposed to be asleep, girl? Thanks for joining the live, though. I appreciate you always. I appreciate all of you guys. I like Atlanta, but dislike the red government in Georgia. Yes. South Carolina is worse. Oh, no. Let me tell you something. We see these people. Give me 1 second, you guys. She wants me to look at something. So I'm not going to make y'all listen to elevator music. Y'all just going to have to sit here and watch me. Watch me check this real fast. Honey, if I had nothing to do today, nobody would call me. I promise you that. Oh, Lord. I think this lady is just messing up. Okay. I hope she gets it right. Okay, y'all, I'm sorry about that. Let's see where we at. Then for me, New York City had to change laws because it is unsafe to not have housing and food. Exactly. It's unsafe not to have housing and food for everybody in a free country. I don't care what nobody say. That's how I feel about it. If we live in a free world and we don't have housing and stuff for the people that live here. When I was in Dubai, I remember our driver was driving us around. He was actually giving us a tour. We went to Abu Dhabi, and he had given us a tour of Abu Dhabi. And on our way back through, I was asking him, like, where do y'all? I haven't seen any homeless. So do y'all have homeless here, or where do they stay? I hadn't seen any slums. He said Dubai is really big on trying to keep their city clean. So one of the things they've done is if you live there and you don't have a job, you don't have anywhere to live, they either deport you back to your country, or their own citizens who don't have a job and don't have anywhere to live, they have them in this really high-rise building. that just looks like a big building with windows. Doesn't have any balconies or anything on it, but I guess it has like rooms for them to sleep. He said that's to keep them off of the streets, which is ironic. You would think in America they could build a high-rise building and just put rooms, like rooms, even if they had to share a bathroom, they could give everybody a room with a lock on the door so they could store their stuff and give them a place to sleep. But that's not what we do here in the free world. We rather see you on the streets and get all the taxes we can get from the random people. Michigan is not that bad, but it's bad. And I think that's everywhere, Miss AKA. Unfortunately, it's not just Michigan. It's not just Michigan. So those are things we really got to touch on. Let's get back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Exactly. And I think that people don't even, most of us took psychology in college, if we went to college, or even study some of that in school. And it would behoove us sometime to pull out. I still have my psychology books. To pull out those books and go back through and read the basic needs of our life, the basic things that we need to just be who we are, right? We need food, we need shelter, we need warmth, there are things that we just need, right? And then if I see you and you have, girl, don't make me go get my psychology book and we're going to read over it today, but I may do that another live. If I see you and you got this and I ain't got that, but you keep flaunting in my face, you get richer and richer and I'm getting poorer and poorer, I'm coming after what you got. That's exactly how this works. Unfortunately, right? It's unfortunate, but that's how that works. That's how that works. They get rich from the homeless. Exactly. They really do. Because believe it or not, everything you see in America is business. Everything. Birth certificate. Why do you need a birth certificate? Why not just a birth paper? Why is it certified? Some of these things just have to make sense, and a lot of things don't make sense. Hotels, private homeowners, partners with local government, and milk the system. It is preach, Queen Script. You are talking to the choir. You are preaching to the choir, not the audience. You are preaching to the choir. They milk, just like we talk about jails. For a long time, we thought, okay, bad people, they go to jail. And then we found out jail was big business, right? So all these people that go to jail the government's making money off of them. Did anybody ever just think about that? No, we didn't. We just kind of went along with life and just thought, okay, they're just over there. They're wrong. They had to go to jail. But there's someone sitting in a corporate office making mega bucks off of those people sitting in jail. Think about that. We never had a homeless population in my little town until they started bringing a bus dropping off homeless. Oh my God. So where you live was one of those places that became, what were they, a harbor cities? Is that what you're saying, Brown Girls Rock? Where you live became one of those harbor cities? Don't mention birth certificates to me right now. I'm so triggered. I'm sorry, Miss AK. I won't mention it to you. I won't mention it to you. But I do want y'all to think why your birth has to be certified. Those things we need to think about. Why does my birth need to be certified? I was born. This lady carried me to term, pushed me out of her bosom. I came here, and now somebody wants to certify me. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So let's move on with the next thing I wanted to chit chat about. So I hope that we are clear on government entitlements and government subsidies. They both exist, and a lot of them kind of intertwine with each other, but they both exist. And people make big money off of government subsidies and government entitlements. I am freezing cold in this house. I don't know what the air conditioner is on. We normally keep it on like 72, 71, but somebody must have taken it to 70. That's what happens when your husband's off the same day you are. So he must have dropped that air conditioner because I am cold all of a sudden, and I'm never cold. But I have a hot flash and it'll warm me up in a minute. So let's talk about the gentleman who passed away this week. Can we do that? Because I don't want to. I probably mentioned him in Saturday Morning Scoop, but I just want to talk about him. But I want y'all to also do a couple of things. They dumped him. Yeah, this was sounds like she said in the script like she may live in a harbor city where they took those buses and just dropped people off. And that's super sad. Super sad, because how do you keep your city safe and clean when you have, because not only are those homeless, some of those people were immigrants. They didn't even have, they're not even here, so they don't have any family to go to. I'm not sure what a harbor city is. All I know is we have a lot of homeless individuals now. So a harbor city was those cities where when the immigrants, remember, they came over illegally, like to Texas, California, different states, and then the Republican governors put them on planes and buses and shipped them off. They sent them to what they call harbor cities, which people that were willing to put them up so they wouldn't be just thrown out of the country or whatever. But I'm not sure. And also with the president taking over DC right now, because DC had a big homeless population, downtown DC. I don't live in DC, but I just know on my visits to DC that there was a part that kind of sends centrally to Union Station, and it was full of tents and people and I walked by there on my way because I was going to the African American Museum 2 years ago. I went to the grand opening, but I wanted to go back because at the grand opening, although it was beautiful, I didn't get to see everything because it's so big. So I went back 2 years ago and I flew into Baltimore and took the train over, and me and my sisters, we all met up and explored the city. So I remember walking by this this park. I'm like, oh my God, are we safe over here? Because this is downtown. So they had a very big homeless population there. I saw on the news recently that they went through and they cleaned that out. So I just wonder where those people went, because it was huge. It wasn't just a couple, it was huge. I think they even called it Tent City or Tent Park or something. The park wasn't that big, but it was full of tents and, of course, homeless people. And they were out there shouting. Some of them had signs. Child. Girl, not a hot flash on. yes, bad girl Riri. I'll warm up in a minute. Dropping them off at Walmart. Oh my God, bad girls ride. That's bad. So I don't know what they was doing there. That was those buses that came out of Texas. We apologize for Hot Wheels. We apologize for Hot Wheels. So I want to talk about probably mentality is dumping. Probably mentally is dumping. What do you mean by that? Just dumping off the mentally ill? Is that what you mean? Because you know what? I read something about a young man recently. They found him in Oklahoma. He was he had some mentally ill problems. He could talk. I think he was autistic. He could talk, but he had a bag with like who he was, medication, some other things. And it seemed as though he had just been dropped off by his family. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. I don't know, but things like that do happen. So I want to get over to the Charlie guy. DC crime has dropped homelessness and dumping since they closed all state mental hospitals. Ooh, that indeed is a fact. That indeed is a fact, because who closed those hospitals? Did they close under Daddy Bush? I want to say they closed under Daddy Bush. In nursing school, I actually took training at a state hospital for back then they called them insane. Back then. Oh Lord, I'm gonna tell my age in a minute. It was very awful, Miss AKA, but it was all over the news down here, that young man, because they was trying to find his family. And that's when they found out that he had the bag with all the stuff in it. He gave them the bag, but at first they was like somebody just taking a picture of him and put him on social media, and it ended up on one of these pages that I watch. They closed so many mental hospitals in Michigan in the early 90s. Correct. Because I remember the state school that I took my training in while I was in nursing school in psychology. During psychology, I had to do a week at a psych hospital. Well, it wasn't a psych hospital. They sent me to their mental state school. I'll say that. It was a state school where they put the mentally disabled. And I did, I think, a week there. I stayed in Alexandria about a week. And I will say this, it was a learning experience, a great experience. I also did 2 weeks at a prison. That was for psychology as well. That was an experience. When I tell you, when you have someone in nursing school and they're doing clinicals, please give them grace, because baby, clinicals will make you want to lose your mind. So it started with Reagan. Okay, I didn't know if it was Reagan or if it was Daddy Bush. I know it was one of the ones. He said they do this in all states. In New York City, they will buy you a one-way ticket out. Sad. Started with Reagan, which I kind of figured it must have been under the Reagan administration. Although I was still in high school when Reagan, either middle school, probably when Reagan was president. But I do remember nursing school, going to the state hospital and working. And some of the things I saw was disturbing, but yet they were safe. They were getting, as you say, people in jail, 3 hots on a cot. And some of them were well taken care of, because I would say I got some of my best mental health experience at that state hospital. I got some really good lessons, life lessons, how to treat people from that state hospital. Some of the people who work there are really good. Now, I will say my goddaughter she lives in Mississippi. She still works. Well, she quit. She did work at a state hospital 2 years ago, and she quit and went into banking. But yeah, so there are, I guess, some that are maybe just off of the grid, maybe. But most of the one I did training for nursing school is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. There was one here locally that I can remember growing up, that we would drive by, and I was like, "What, Mama, what is that?" And she was like, "Oh, that's the state hospital." And I was like, "Oh," it was a big campus. Sometimes you see the kids out in the yard, playing around. I can remember it's no longer there. It's now a Walmart and Ross on the hill, all kinds of stuff up that hill now. But at one point, it was, as a child, I can remember it being the state hospital. So they just don't exist anymore. He said, my sister told me what was happening in 1988. You see, in 1988, girl, I was getting ready to go to high school. I wasn't even thinking about what was happening in the world. I was trying to figure out who I was. Who am I? Yes, Queen, that's when it really started. Okay. Were you born? Yeah. So, yeah, we got some 70 babies up in here. 70s were the great years to be born. The whole from 0 to the 9 that was the best decade of all. So I want to talk about Charlie Kirk just for a moment. We're going to talk about him. We're going to hit him, and we're going to jump right on off of him. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. We're going to use the word assassination because, see, living for me, amen, the best years. That decade was the best. We produced some of the greatest people. Now, this next generation, we ain't going to talk about that. Remember, I told you we're going to go over that book about, yeah, I know we talked about the children disrespecting the mamas and want to blame the mamas and going no contact. We're going to talk about that. I haven't forgot about that. I'm still reading my book. I read a little bit at a time. She actually has a notepad in there where you can jot down notes of things that you think, so you can be a better you, not a better parent. Because once your kids are grown, you be a better you. These kids still want to be babies after they become adults. Anywho, moving right along. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Assassination is when someone who is some type of political office is smurdered at all, right? Some type of political office, some in political politics, somewhere you just rabbit up in it, something happens to you. That's normally when they call an assassination. So we're going to call this an assassination. Yeah, I have to take this call. Hold on one second. Hopefully it won't last but a moment. needs this, and if it gets cold, he needs to wear that, and you need to put girl. He get over here, we're gonna do what we want to do, baby. He and I, we have our own little rendezvous. We don't listen to her. Girl, she ain't running at the time about, oh, he only drinks out of his sippy cup. Okay. Okay, that's fine. I was like, well, I'm on a live, but she's still trying to give me more instructions. I didn't put any toys in there, so I don't know what you want to do about toys. I know you have things there, girl. These kids, I'm telling you, these kids. But anywho, let's move on. So, Mr. Charlie Kirk. Yes, we got this. I told her, girl, I'll call you back for more instructions. She's hilarious, but she's a good mommy. So she wants to make sure I parent him like she parents him, and that ain't gonna happen. He gets away with a lot of things. Well, he probably gets away with more with her than me because he touched it. I'm like, no. He comes back. Ah! Yes, I am the screaming grandmother. Hello, Michelle. How are you doing? Michelle, you missed it. We talked about the differences between subsidies and entitlements a few minutes ago. So if you have a chance, you can go back to later on or whatever, maybe want to see the front of it. Just clearing the air and making sure everybody understands the differences between the two and how the government actually works in both of them. But thanks for joining the live. Child, this girl got me tickled talking about how I need to be taking care of this little boy. I got this. I raised 3 babies. I got this. Anywho, Charlie Kirk. So, Mr. Kirk was assassinated a couple of days ago. What's today? Friday? Was it Wednesday? Tuesday? Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't remember. One of those days. Yes, thank you. Please run it back. If you get a chance, you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you get a chance, definitely run it back. I just want to make sure that we put out information to the public that they know what the differences between the two. Because I'm one of those people, I just don't like misinformation. I just feel like when we find out something's not right, we need to fix it or give more information on it so that people know what they're dealing with in the general public. So Mr. Kirk was taken out. I do understand that they have arrested someone. I believe they have someone in custody this morning. They found the pow on yesterday behind some woods. They saw someone scaling a building, jumping off the building, and then running on the side of the freeway. Not really sure what any of that matters. But I will tell you that there are some people out here that are angry. And I want us to be able to look at the Angry Birds. Do y'all mind if we look at the Angry Birds? This is just for a moment. The people that are angry because this man passed away, although most of us, at least I know I didn't have nothing to do with it. I don't think any of you guys had anything to do with it. But it's a bunch of people that are very upset. Before we start into that, I want to just tell you one thing I want you guys to be mindful of. Just be mindful of it. A friend of mine on yesterday texted me, guy I went to school with in high school. He texted me and said, let me read what he said because it bothered me. It bothered me because he didn't do anything. He said, wow, someone reported me to my company about my post. They have me under investigation. I want to read to you his post, what he posted about this man. He posted nothing ugly, nothing that was ugly, but someone reported him. I want you guys to be careful what you post. If you're on social media, and this is just from my mouth to your ears, if you are on social media, take your job off of your Facebook, take your high school, take your personal information off of your internet. If you're going to off of your social media, if you're going to be out here making statements that can probably get to your employer, right? I'm gonna read to you what he posted because what I didn't find anything offensive in what he said, but a lot of things don't offend me that offend others. He said, "These prayers are reaching God's ears. Vengeance is mine," said the Lord. This is all. Y'all heard that. These prayers are reaching God's ears. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. When the prayers of the oppressed, this is a second post he made. When the prayers of the oppressed reaches God's ears, this is what happened. And he put the man's name in there, right? And then he put his next post says, now they want sympathy and understanding. His last post says, well, let me get these tools together just in case they act a fool. And that was it, right? Well, I take that back. One more. You ain't no rest. You ain't no pimp. You a rest haven for buzz. And he put a laughing emoji. I didn't find any of that offensive, but someone was offended by that, and they contacted his job. He is a protected citizen of these United States of America, primarily because he is a retired veteran. So that alone, he should have a right to say whatever he wanted to say, but he didn't say anything that was horrible, right? But someone took his words and called his job because his job was listed on the front of his Facebook page. You guys, go through your Facebook pages, take your personal information off, or lock your pages down. My page on Facebook is private. It has always been private. You know why it's private? Because I get in here and I'll debate somebody. That's me. So my Facebook is private. My Instagram is private. I don't accept people who aren't my friends. I don't accept people who aren't my family members. I have over 2,000 friends on Facebook. And guess what? I know pretty much all of them. Maybe one or two are friends of a friend, but I know them through those friends. I know most. I don't accept people I don't know. For the very fact that people are cruel, they are mean, they are rude and disrespectful. So I really think that we as adults have to do what we have to do to protect ourselves, not only ourselves, protect our families. Facebook, when it first came out, was just a place to share accomplishments and friendships. I've been on Facebook since it came out. I have shared my children, my grandchildren, my children as they've grown up, high school graduations, college graduations, my grandbabies as they were born. You think I want to share that with someone who would get out here and try to dox me with that information? Heck no. I'm gonna lock my stuff down. Now you can go over and look at these reels I post, because that's me showing you what I do every day. Have fun, travel, do my thug thizzle. But as far as showing you my grandchildren, for you to get mad on Mad Day, decide to put them on the YouTubes or the TikToks, I ain't gonna never do that. Never do that. You can go on my TikTok, you ain't gonna find no kids on there. My granddaughter, she used to make TikToks on my page all the time. Guess what? They're all private. They're all private. Because I be doggone. You mess with one of mine. You want to see the ugly side of me? Mess with one of my kids. Mess with one of my kids. Mess with one of my family members, baby. You gonna see the ugly side of me. He was turned in by his father. He is a MAGA. Oh. So why would the MAGA want the MAGA gone? Can someone answer that for me? Because I inquiring minds want to know. I just want to know why he wants the MAGA gone. We say Michelle Brown girl day is going to be amazing. Can't play. Oh, you're talking to someone else, not me. Let me mind my business. I don't feel no ways tired, but praying for his family. That's me, girl. Brown girl rocks. I have no qualms about what happened to him because I don't know. I don't know. But I do offer my sympathy and condolences to his family. May he rest wherever he rested at, and may they find comfort in prayer. Especially the ones who with the red flags in New York, bad girl Riri. Y'all know I go out in the communities and see people, right? In some of these communities I go through, I went through one the other day and they had a flag let me just give maybe some dimensions that I would think. Maybe 20 feet by 20 feet. It was huge. They said, Trump, God bless America. And I thought to myself, you're that engrossed with a human being that you have to put a big flag in your yard to let the whole world know. And I remember my parents who encouraged me and my siblings to go vote because they said it was someone died, so that we could have that right to do so. We vote. I don't even think they ever told us who they voted for. Now we flash it across our chest. I am MAGA. We wear a hat. I am a liberal. I am a this. I am a that. I am a voter. I vote my pocket and I vote for my family for the future. I don't go in a voting poll with in my head saying I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat because I don't agree with everything that the Republicans do, and I darn sure don't agree with everything the Democrats do. No, ma'am. And I think once we start getting that realization as a whole, as a people, the better off we'll be. We fighting each other over our political views. Are we okay? Child. Especially your job, Alicia. Oh my God. And that was the first thing I looked at his page. I was scrolling through when he texted me. And I was like, go on your page right now and you get your job off of there. And he said, what? I said, get your job off of there. In fact, get everything else off of there. He said, well, I ain't gonna lock my page down because I ain't scared of nobody. You ain't gotta be scared of nobody, but get your job off of there. Because they are causing you undue stress. That's not even needed. Don't put that on there. Take your picture down. Queen Script, I think you can blacken your picture out where nobody can see it but your friends. I think that Facebook, there's a way you can do that. It's scary. They were actually scared to vocalize our dissent. Exactly. In a country where freedom of speech is put in the Constitution, we have no freedom of speech, especially if you disagree. Especially if you disagree, Katie bar the door. You have to agree. LinkedIn has to become this. Exactly, Bad Girl Riri. And I didn't realize that until about a couple of weeks ago. And so I'm going to that's one of the things I have on my list to do this weekend is go in my LinkedIn and do some stuff over there. Exactly, Kashara. She said 100%. There is a meme that says, I don't support what happened to Charlie, but Charlie supported what happened to Charlie. That was super powerful to see. Exactly. Because this is exactly what he did. I don't know if any of you guys support Erica De Niro TV. She has a YouTube. I watch Erica. I don't always agree with everything she says, but I do watch Erica. And I have a lot of respect for her because she vocalizes how she feels. Last night, she did a piece on Charlie Kirk. And in that piece, she played what he said. Well, her video was flagged. And it was flagged because of what he said. Not because of what she said, because of what he said, because she was very politically correct with her verbiage when she was talking about it. But the very fact of what he said, she played that little clip. So she re-uploaded the video this morning and she clipped out, she edited that out just so that she could be able to share the clip because what she said was powerful. So if you have a chance, run over there to Erica De Niro TV and watch that because I really enjoyed, I'm not gonna say enjoy it, but I respect what she said about it because it's the truth. Sometimes you just have to be okay with being okay with what's going on in the world. You just do. Because they're leader and they know it. Exactly. The pastor contacted the family because he recognized him and they turned him in. Wow. Bad Girl, I didn't know that. I just saw when I was getting ready to get this live together and my phone kept ringing because my goal was to sit down and pull in some articles for us to read or go through. And again, my phone went crazy. That's someone needs to turn him in because I don't know how he thought he was going to get away with it. And I guess he probably would have if no one had turned him in. Oh, wow, Michelle, like that. Exactly, me too. Loss of jobs, higher prices, loss of property, no Epstein files. They realize they are used and lied to by that. Exactly. Yeah, Queen Script, we all in agreement on that one. He's trying to take the tension off of Epstein, the failed economy. He's the boogeyman and he's looking for a new boogeyman. Exactly. I'm never a Republican due to their recent history. Yeah. I'm never gonna be anybody. When people ask me what is my voting, one of my voting views, I say independent. Because I'm an independent thinker. I don't need to follow the Democrats. I don't need to follow the Republicans. Although sometimes my beliefs, because most of the time we're stuck between the two, right? We only have, because these are the two big parties we have. So we're gonna either lean to one or the other. But my political views are independent. Period. That's who I am. I vote for who I want to vote for because I'm an independent thinker. The last 70 years. Exactly. I agree with that. I'm going to take my job off my Facebook today. Thank you for saying that. Yes, right, Michelle. Take it off. People are cruel. They cause undue stress on you for no reason. There was no reason for my friend to, what he said on Facebook meant nothing. It said nothing. He didn't call him any other word besides that you're not here anymore. And that's it. There's nothing he said. But be careful with what you post. Be careful with the arguments, because these people out here, they mad. And we're going to talk about them being mad. I was raised where James Byrd was dragged and unalive. Most of the people I was raised around think just like her. Bad girl Riri, you from Jasper? Ooh, my God. She's bad girl Riri. Bird's death may be not considered Texas. Queen Script, Texas is a beautiful place. Don't let that stop you from coming here, baby. Beautiful place with beautiful people. I think becoming independent because some of the Dems' ideas are. That's the exact reason why I am an independent. I'm not affecting that person. So what is it to them? What he says or what he feels. Exactly. Yeah, definitely understand that. I'm going to tell you something where Mr. Byrd was unalived. We'll say that. It's a very rural place, very rural. And we have to remember there are a lot of places in red states that are rural and still very unlike us. They don't like us. And we're just going to be honest about that. There's a little town between here and Amarillo. My great aunt, my dad's auntie, passed away in 2018, 17, 18, somewhere in there. She was 102. When my dad was a senior in high school, he actually moved to stay with my great aunt. And he graduated high school in Amarillo. So I always feel like we kind of owed her a debt every Christmas as a child. My dad's family, y'all know I do genealogy. My dad's family was very small. He was one of 3 children. His mom was an only child. Had a hard time finding her when I started doing research, but I found her nonetheless. But my dad stayed with his grandmother and his aunt, my great aunt. So we went to my great aunt's funeral. Every year she would send us a Christmas card. I never got a chance to meet her face to face. I've talked to her on the phone because Amarillo is a little ways from us, a long ways from us. My son actually went to college that direction in Oklahoma. So I would go through there. My mom, of course, had stopped to see my great aunt a few times, but I never physically saw her until she was actually laying in a casket. And we went to her funeral. My mom and my siblings. My father passed away some years ago. So his aunt outlived him by a long shot. My dad's been gone. This is the 29th year of his passing. And my parents were together up until the day my dad died. 40-something years they've been married. And so we made a decision we would get a van and we'd go to my aunt's funeral. So we piled up in the van and we were headed to Amarillo. 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and my mom. And we're in the car, in the van, we're driving along. I was driving. My mama kept saying, you let one of these boys drive this car. You let one of these boys drive this car. And I was like, I got this, girl. I got this. And she said, you heard what I said. My mama was, when I say she believed that the boys need to be boys and the girls need to be girls, she had certain roles that all of us had. And so I was like, oh, okay, Mom. Okay. So I pulled over. When I pulled over, we I'd driven for a little while. I know when we went into this place, I think it was a Dairy Queen, some restaurant. There was an officer sitting at a table, really small rural town. Officer sitting at a table, and he was sitting with a very young lady. It was an older gentleman, very young lady. So they caught my attention on that. He was an officer. So I went to use the restroom. They went and ordered some food. We sat there and they took a long time fixing our food. So the officer and the lady, they got through doing whatever they did. He walked her out to her car. She got in her car. He got in his patrol car. He drove down the street. I saw him come back through because we're just sitting there talking. He goes across the street. He parks and he turns towards the Dairy Queen. So we're still sitting there and we're eating and we're just chit-chatting. And he is sitting over there. He doesn't move. He's just sitting there. So I'm thinking maybe he's just patrolling the highway because it's the highway that we're driving on. So we get our food, we get in our car, in our van, and we load up, get ready to go. And so my brother said, I'll take it from here. I said, fine. So I got in the very back of the van and everybody else got in. And so when my brother pulled onto the highway, the officer pulled out behind my brother. And all of a sudden got scared. Literally, like, I said, oh my God. And so my brother looked in the mirror and he said, what are you scared about? And I said, we're in a little small town in Texas. I want to say it was Chittister. And I said, it's just us and Mom. And my brother looked at me. He said, don't you dare be scared. I am a law-abiding citizen. You are a law-abiding citizen. None of us in here have any criminal history, any criminal records. We've never done anything. We were raised by some of the best people in the world. My license is valid. Your license is valid. We have insurance. What are you scared about? And that settled my spirit because I was nervous. He drove behind us a long ways. And as we're driving through, we get to he follows us outside of the city limits, me with tears in my eyes, scared to death. A van passes us and it's full of African-American people as well. He goes from behind us and he pulls them over. Let me tell you something. You have every right to go through these little rural towns in the state of Texas and be scared. You have every right to do that because it can be scary. I couldn't imagine being pulled over because I believe something had recently happened during that time, like someone had gotten murdered by being pulled over in this state. Was the reason why I was scared. But I was frightened. Although I had all of my siblings with me and my mom, I was still frightened by the very fact that we could be pulled over and something happened to my loved one or something could happen to all of us. That bothered me. So I can understand the fear of someone moving to the state thinking that something could happen to them. So there's my story about that. And the fun part is all of us are concealed carry license holders, right? Probably everybody but Mama in that car. And probably only one of us had their pow on them, which would have been my older brother. Because he don't leave home without it. But he's one of the most level-headed gentlemen you'll ever want to meet. He ain't that guy that's hot-headed. But when you know what it feels like to be robbed, you do those kind of things. So that's the reason why he is a carrier. He's out early in the morning working, and he don't play. He don't play. He just one of those guys. So the fear that I had was legitimate, although I should have been comforted by the very fact of my mom and my dad raised very good men. When I say men, very good men who actually had my back and wasn't gonna let nothing happen to their baby sister. So, but I legitimately was like, when I say tensed up, stomach tight, teary-eyed, and my brother driving was like, you stop that. You get it together because ain't nothing gonna happen to us. He said, not only that, I am a city official. Ain't nothing gonna happen to us because there's gonna be something to be paid for. And so, well, let me see what y'all talking about because I see the chat moving, moving, moving. Ooh, we've been here an hour and we ain't hit on nothing we came in here to talk about. Nothing. Let's see. Bagger said, I wouldn't live anywhere else, though. Exactly. Let me tell you something. This little town, well, I don't live in a little town, but people that, they say, oh, this is a country, whatever. Because I live in the Metroplex. And Bagger, you know what the Metroplex is if you live in Texas. But where I live, I wouldn't live anywhere else. I love my city. I love my state. I love the people that I know here. If I had to move somewhere else, it would probably be back to my mom's hometown. And that's just because it's rural and there's no one there. I could talk to the trees and the deers and the chickens and everybody else, the geese and the whatever else, the wild hogs and turkeys that go through the woods. But I love where I live. I love Texas. Jasper is like upstate New York. Is it? Queen's Crib, it can't be. Oh, we got some places out here in Michigan that are white she boys that no. Oh my God. We carry that fear from our elders who endure trauma and expose us to it through their personal stories. Exactly. Bad girl Riri, you're so right. And I talking to my mom who grew up in a little small town in a state over, she would tell me stories about Papa, her dad, and her mom taking them to the city, which she said they didn't do often. But the things that their parents would tell them in the wagon, because they went by horse and wagon, on their way to the city, what not to do, where not to go. And she said most of the time they didn't get out the wagon. If they did, they just stood around the wagon and got back in the wagon and went home. And Pop, of course, would come out with whatever he was going to give them, candy or whatever they went to town to buy. She said, but for the most part, they stayed on their farm or went to school. They didn't go anywhere else or to church, but they didn't go mingle in the city. And it was because her parents were trying to protect her. My dad, on the other hand, grew up in the big city, in the Metroplex, in this state, in this area. He grew up in a little town called Como, and worked as a caddy at a golf course back in the 40s, believe it or not. And my dad told me some stories about going to downtown to Woolworths and not being able to drink out of the fountain. His mom taking him through the back door. I can remember him vividly telling me these stories. I'm like, what? And he said, my dad told me this, out of all of our children, you're the only one who were born under full civil rights. And I didn't realize that because there's so many years between me and my older siblings. So anywho, I'm gonna get off that soapbox. But when we think about the things that our parents had to endure, it does put a fear in us that maybe isn't warranted because of what we know to be our lives as now. But the very fact that some of that still goes on, it does create that fear. Let's see. Queen's Crib, Jasper isn't bad at all. It's a beautiful place. The government lied on Jasper because that incident didn't happen there. My classmate's boyfriend was one of the 3 guys. Really, bad girl Riri. It happened on the outskirts. It was rural, right? I love it. That's how my brother is. Yeah, my brothers are protectors. They just are. Why lie on Jasper? Y'all must be doing good for them to target your town. It happened. Queen's Crib. It happened near. It happened out in the rural area. It was rural where it all took place. That's right, big bro. Yes, my brothers are very big Texas, and there are still sundown towns. Exactly, there definitely are. There's a little town headed due east from here that I can remember back in the 80s had a sign up and said, "Welcome to Greenville, where we have the greenest grass and the whitest people." And if you don't think I'm lying, Google it. That sign stayed up until 1981. My mother took us to see the sign. And I can remember as a young girl, like maybe 7, 8 years old, thinking, what is this? This is weird. Why is this here? And I didn't get the correlation until Mama explained it in the car on our way back home. We would go through there on our way to her hometown. And when she explained to me, she said there didn't used to be freeways, these big open roads with these 3 or 4 lanes. She said we used to have to come through here in our cars when we go home to see Papa. She said, and I would have to see this sign. This was a remembrance to stay in your place. She said, and this was one of those places that we just could not stop at. My mom also told me a story about a little city in Texas called Boyd, Texas, that she had taken one of her friends to see. The friend went to go see her son, but my mom drove her because her friend did not drive. And mom had a flat. She said she pulled over in this little city called Boyd. They had a sign that says, "We fix flats." And she said she asked them if they could fix her flat. She said the man never made eye contact. And he said, "We don't fix flats." And she said, "But your sign says you," he said, "We don't fix flats." He looked at her twice. My mama said that her friend began to start arguing. Mama said she grabbed her by the hand. She said, "Let's go, let's go, let's go." It wasn't until later that my mom realized she was in a sundown town. This was in the late 60s, right? So as much as we like to believe that, oh, we're so far removed, we aren't that far removed from Jim Crow and these sundown towns. We just aren't. That's just facts. Queen, they wouldn't get the same media attention to this if they named the small areas where it occurred. Exactly. And here's the thing too, Bad Girl Riri, that people don't really understand, I guess, and maybe they do, because I would think that this happens across other cities and states. Like, although, let's just throw out a city, Dallas, right? So Dallas is encompassed by many other cities. I don't live in Dallas, but I'm throwing out Dallas. Dallas is encompassed by many other cities that call suburbs: Plano, Frisco, Carrollton, Richardson, DeSoto, Red Oak. I'm just naming out some cities, but in those are communities, right? So when you go to rural towns, right, rural cities, rural areas, they have little places called Mostown, right? Mostown was a community of Black people who grew up outside of a city. So that's kind of what Jamestown would be, if I can explain it that way. Big Mama had me thinking the KK still march when I was like 8, honey. And they were. Bad Girl Riri. And they were. I'm going to tell you something. I went to nursing school in the 90s. 96. I graduated in 97. So 95 to 97, I was in nursing school. And I will tell you this. I went down a road in Louisiana by accident and ran into some white coats and white sheets. So they're still out there marching, baby. They're still out there. The last Pew Pew in Georgia is in an area that was recently saturated with Blacks, and they are pissed off. And I don't blame them. They have every reason. I believe that they want us to ignore history and give them grace. And we cannot. And in some towns, the KK still have meat on the courthouse steps. And do. And they pass out flyers. And I have proof of that. I got the receipts. Okay, I'm back fully engaged. I just can't get it off my mental checklist to make my professional information and education off my. And you, thank you for doing that, Michelle, because that's important. That is so important that you do that. So back to Charlie Kirk. So the people are angry that this happened to him. And so I don't know how many of you guys have been listening to this, but on yesterday, a lot of our HBCUs had to shut down classes and their campuses because they were getting unaliving threats, threats of bombs, threats, all kinds of threats were coming out. Although somebody tell my team lead I need to put on the phone. So I want us to listen to some of the anger that these people were spewing on yesterday. We're going to go to the ticker talker and look and see what they was talking about on yesterday. Let's go.
You people, what an amazingly brilliant mind who wanted to make people understand and educate, snuffed out because somebody doesn't like your political beliefs. How fucked up is the world today? And for those of you cheering for this, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh my God, they know. And they know they can't stop it. I've known this was coming for 10 years, but until...
Every one of you goddamn liberals have blood on your hands today. Every fucking
You know, on Newsmax yesterday, you called on leaders of the left to stop normalizing hatred and violence. Are you also calling on leaders of the right to do the same?
Everyone should stop doing that. But the only difference is in the age of Trump is that, there has been a outrageous commentary that goes on and isn't stopped.
2 months
by
ago,
people.
two elected Democratic state officials and their spouses were shot in Minnesota by a man who had a hit list of 45 elected Democrats he intended to kill. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband.
Well, what do you know?
And I regret my damn vote, okay? He promised America first. Now he's sending billions to Israel while we're drowning back home.
You go.
Why do Trump supporters get so freaking?
I'm so sick and fucking tired.
During a speech, and I regret my damn vote.
Here we go again. MAGA Trump supporters are mad. Why are they mad this time? Well,
Child, they stay mad. They stay mad. They always mad. Why they mad? We don't know why they mad. We don't know. All we can do is pray for them. That's it. That's all I got for you. Some prayer. That's all we got for you. Some prayer. That's it. Let's see. He wanted the men who unalive Jordan. He did. I'm not gonna play nothing he said over here because I don't want my channel struck. I'm trying to build this channel. I ain't trying to strike it down. So I'm not gonna play nothing he said. But here's what we do know. Charlie, where's my paper about Charlie? Girl, I done wrote some stuff about Charlie. Charlie was 31 years old. The suspect is in custody. They found the gun. It happened at I want to make this very plain. It happened at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Who live in Utah? Who? Is there a HBCU in Utah? Did I miss out on that one? Okay. He was on his American Comeback Tour. And we do know that Utah is the home of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was they migrated to Utah in 1847 so they could have some polygamy and all the other fun things they do out there. And Charlie is from Chicago. He's from a suburb of Chicago called Arlington Heights. So what you doing in Utah? What was you doing? Was you over there? You and your wife? Y'all was scoping out a place to live? I don't know. I don't know what y'all was doing there. But I praying for your wife, your children. Sad that they even had to see that. Children should have seen. The children are innocent. Protect the children at all costs. Protect the children at all costs. This is an excuse for the hateful behavior. Exactly. But honey, when I tell you them people, I should have scanned through them. I thought I could on here, but I didn't. I should have left it open wide so I could tap on them. But honey, when I tell you they mad, they over there just cussing, and he was beating the walls. He didn't say he was gonna hurt nobody though. So I respect you if you can just beat the walls and you only hurt yourself. But you know, these other ones out here, they want to hurt you and I for just being alive, just for living. Honey, I'm sick of folks on this job today. What y'all want me? That girl Riri. I'm off today, so I don't have any of those problems. They have selective, exactly. They have a selective memory. Because we're not going to forget that there was a lady, I believe her and her husband, they were in bed, right? When the people came in, and then Nancy Pelosi's husband, I think he said some really foul things about him. But let's go on over here to our Martin Luther King. Let me go and pull up what Bernice said yesterday. I love me a little bit of Bernice King. I can't even spell. We're gonna pull up what she said on yesterday, because we like over here on Lady Rose channel, we like Bernice King, but Charlie. Now the only Charlie I really know is Charlie Wilson. Hey girl, how you doing? My name is Charlie, last name Wilson. That's the only Charlie I really know. But this guy named Charlie, he was talking about our dear Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, of course, he had his faults. Everybody does. We all have faults. But Martin Luther King tried to do the good for the people, the black people. And apparently no one liked that. They didn't like the fact that he was trying to do good for the people. Unfortunately, Charlie also said he's for the public execution while children watch. Sadly. Oh, Michelle. Oh, that's definitely what happened. Yes, ma'am. So Bernice had a little bit of something to say on yesterday. Let me share what Bernice King had to say. I like Bernice King. I think Bernice King is one of the sweetest women you could ever meet. I've met her in person, and she was very nice to me. Bernice King. It saddens me that Charlie Kirk's children will likely one day view the audio of their father being shot. No child anywhere should lose a parent in such a hateful, callous way. It will require much more than quoting my father for the United States to evolve from our current conundrum of multifaceted violence, tragic empathy, and degrading policies. We need mature leadership, compassion, action, and nonviolent strategies for thorough, sustainable change. We need inner work, community work, communication work, legislative work, homework. We need to stop the lie of there's no place for blank violence in this country, because clearly there is a place. Historically and presently, this nation has been a place for policy violence, mass violence, genocidal violence, gun violence, economic violence, and other forms of violence. And so here we are, a day after Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, 24 years after 9/11, a day when people across the globe, including Sudan, Gaza, Congo, Tigray, Yemen, and Ukraine, suffered the devastation of political violence. A day when the National Guard patrols the streets of DC. A day when low-income Black communities in Memphis are besieged by environmental injustice. A day to be more urgently begin praying with our actions and with our collective call and work for true peace, which, as my father said, is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. Bernice always gives us a word. She always does. She always comes in with the word that we need to sometimes sustain that moment. And she gave his family grace when they gave her family none. We know that Dr. King was murdered by a lone gunman. We're not even sure if they got the right guy. We've heard several different stories of who did it, what, when, why, were. And sometimes things can become a conspiracy and the water gets so murky that we don't have a clear point of what happened. But we do know that he was taken away from us way too early. Us as a people, her as a father. This was a child, a baby, who actually probably would never have any memories of her father living other than what she's seen in videos and heard, his recordings and watched read his writings, because, he was very philosophical. But we all know that when you turn 4 years old, your memory from 4 on down normally disappears. Why God created us this way, I don't know. But then your long-term memory begins. So she, more than likely, Bernice has if she does, is very shoddy memory of her dad. But she's had to live all these years without her father. And you have someone who gave her father no grace. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. But she offered him grace. And you know what we're going to do? We're just going to pray for his family. We're going to go on, because, baby, I done had enough of Kurt today. Charlie Kirk, God bless you. But I want to listen to Charlie Wilson, not no Charlie Kirk. Moving right along. Betty song, don't blame Miss Chuck. And he doing the best he can. That's he doing the best he can. We know where Mr. Charlie might be at this moment. because my Bible says if the righteous barely are saved, where would the ungodly be? Because he was not doing the Lord's work. You can't tell me that he was doing the Lord's work by offending others. That's not. God is not the author of confusion. He is not that. So we're going to move on further past that. Next thing I want to talk about is the black farmers in Arkansas. This is really the topic of the day that I want to talk about, because tomorrow we have our Saturday morning scoop coming in. Oh, we're going to go out on some Charlie Wilson. In fact, let me look for some Charlie right now to take us on out of here. We just going to do like a little snippet of him on our way on out the door. But I am a Charlie Wilson fan. I've been to a lot of his concerts, honey. His last concert I went to, in essence, Charlie Wilson told him, he said, the people, he said, you know, he kept telling, you know, say my name, say my name. And we was out there and all this, Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. We said it so much. He said, now look at the person next to you. If you sit next to your man, now me and you tell your woman what your name is. Because I know they know my name. I love Charlie Wilson. I love me some Charlie Wilson. But we're going to listen to Charlie on our way out the door. But before that, let's listen to a little bit of, let's talk about these Arkansas farmers and what they are going through in Arkansas. Let me share my screen.
Farmers in Arkansas gathered at a town hall last week to ask Congress for help. Mounting debt, aging equipment, and disappearing profits are making it nearly impossible for them to break even, let alone to turn a profit. One of those farmers calls the president's tariffs, quote, the ice cream on top of a cake of.
Can y'all see that? Because I don't know why my screen just split. Let me take myself off of the screen and see if it'll go back to where, let me remove
of a perfect storm. He joins us now, Arkansas farmer Scott Brown, who attended last week's town hall. Scott, really good to have you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about what's happening with your farm.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff. Deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around 12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
0?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Are you getting 100% of everything else?
Yeah, if we got 100% of everything else, we would still only have half the Chinese business.
Well, what are you getting right now? If you're not getting China, are you getting every other market out there?
Or probably some other countries, and the market's pretty stifled. Most of our soybeans here go to the Mississippi River. It's the closest place to market them. They're going to go downriver and go overseas somewhere at some point. Beans are about 10.28 on the board today. We're going to get 40 cents behind that as a basis because the elevators are going to want to control their hedge. It's going to cost us 50 or 60 cents in a truck to get there. So we're getting in the low nines. In Purdue University will tell you it takes $12.03 to raise them.
Okay, so you farm
So we're
soybeans.
losing.
You farm 800
Yes, ma'am.
acres. You know, $0 coming from China. That's a problem. How are you going to pay your bills? Are you turning a profit? Are you breaking even?
I hope to break even this year. I farm so little. I farm by myself. My tractors are all paid for. They're old. They're 50 years old. My tractors were all made in the 70s. My combine was made in 1997. I cut a load of beans, put it in the truck, and haul it to the river myself. So I've got a lot less cost than most of these boys. I've got friends that farm 5,000 and 6,000 and 7,000 acres that have $1 million combines and 10 guys at $50,000 or $60,000 a guy trying to make this to break even. I don't know how they're going to do that. Time you put interest on a crop loan, this entire crop went into the ground in Arkansas below the University of Arkansas's production. That means no rice, no corn, no beans, no Milo, no peanuts, no anything would generate a profit at current inputs and the fall market prices.
Last time Donald Trump had these tariffs, he gave farmers a leg up. He inserted money back into agriculture. If he were to do that again, how much money would he need to inject into the farm industry?
This time, at current market figures in the fall for delivery and the current average yield, a cotton farmer is going to lose $375 an acre for every acre of cotton he planted. A corn farmer is going to lose $220 an acre for every acre of corn he planted. A bean farmer is going to lose $120 an acre for every acre he planted. So you're talking last time it was between $105 an acre and $75 an acre. This time I'd say to take $150 or $200 an acre to square everybody up. But that doesn't fix the problem. Because if you don't get us some market share and get us someplace to sell the product and get countries that actually want American agricultural products, then we're going to be in this mess again next year because we're going to put another crop in the ground that's below cost of production. We have to have overseas trade.
What's this doing politically? A lot of farmers voted for Donald Trump. I know you're not one of them, but what's it doing politically? Are they still set on Trump and his leadership?
I've got buddies that say you have to trust him. I have buddies that just cannot do the left side of things, and that's where they're at. But now I went to the farm show in Decatur, and I met a lot of guys that farm up north that sings a lot different song than they sung 7 months ago or 8 months ago.
Really interesting. Scott Brown, I'm happy you're able to keep your head above water. I hope that continues. Thank you so much for coming on. I am shocked that we have gone from 12 billion last year in exports to China to 0. What a shocking number. Scott, thank you for bringing that to us.
From 12 billion to 0. Let's talk about it. So Arkansas decided last year or year before last, Biden actually offered Arkansas, little Miss Huckabee, some money to help the farmers, and she refused it. So when Trump took office, he increased the tariffs, and increasing the tariffs and putting, I think, 150% on China, I believe is what they did. I'm not sure. I didn't keep up with all the numbers because he gave everybody a different number. China said, well, we don't want none of it. Well, let's go ahead and let's talk about what Arkansas produces. Arkansas produces commodities, right? Commodities, because I ain't gonna say that. They produce commodities. They have a lot of wheat, corn, cotton, soybeans, rice. Commodities are a raw material or primary agricultural product that could be bought and sold, such as copper or coffee, right? But we know what Arkansas produces: wheat, corn, cotton. They do chickens, but the chickens have to be hauled off somewhere else to be, fixed before they come to our table. So they do commodities. They do cows, but of course the beef has to go somewhere else to be processed before it makes it to the table. So now the Arkansas farmers are in a bind. They're in a bad bind, because if you have so many billions going out and you go from billions to zero, that means your profit margin has drastically decreased. I want you to hear this. Let's see if I can get. Oh, it's not possible. The farmers are praying. We're gonna watch the farmers pray to see exactly what they are talking about.
Until the federal government steps in to save them, farmers have no one to turn to but God.
Farmers, in my opinion, dear Lord, and it's only my opinion, are closer to thee than anyone else on this earth, because we deal with your earth every day. Dear Lord, we're hurting, dear Lord. We can't help what's happened to us.
Until the
Lord, we can't help what happened to us. We had nothing to do with this. Hold on a second, you guys. Whew. Mailman ringing the doorbell with a package, and I had to sign for it. Oh, sorry, you guys. My day. I had to run down the stairs and run back up. So the farmers are praying, and they're saying that, what's happened to them, they can't help it because it was no fault of their own. But they actually voted against their own self-interest. I don't know why they thought that something different was going to happen. They thought that something different was going to happen because in all actuality, we saw this coming with the tariffs, right? When you start putting tariffs on goods, why would I come over here and pay you X amount of dollars plus multiply that 1.5 times more when I could get it from another country, because other countries produce those things as well. You have Indonesia, who produces rice by the droves, and then you have other countries that produce the same things we produce here in America. So we're actually shooting our own self in the foot, I guess is what old people would say, by doing that. I hope y'all were y'all able to see it? They did vote for him, Queen Script. They put their trust in farms and they're voting to me. Exactly, Miss AKA. And it backfired. Unfortunately, it backfired. And they want another handout. They need rescuing, because this doesn't help them at all. They're still producing, they're out there farming, they're out there putting stuff in the ground, and the harvest is coming up, but no one's buying the harvest. So once it comes up, you got to find somebody to sell it to. And when half of your crop goes to China and then China's not buying it, where does that crop go? It just sits in the warehouse somewhere, not being sold. You're going to lose money. He had to give them one last time. He was like, he was in office because he screwed them over with tariffs. Yeah. The last time he was in there, I get it now. But it won't canvas, LOL. I don't know what that means. I hope your package was no, it wasn't canvas. It actually was for my husband. It wasn't even for me, it's for him. Sitting over there. He ordered stuff just like I do, but he swear that all the packages, you always getting a package. Well, this one say your name on it, buddy. The other day it said your name. He be on Amazon just like I be on Amazon. So I don't want to hear none of that mess about it. You always get stuff. You be on there just like I be on there. He be ordering expensive stuff. I be getting 2 and 3 little things, Anyway, I wish it was my Canvas Beauty package. I don't know when it'll be here, but I know it's on its way. I know it's on its way because I got a tracking thing yesterday said that it was on its way. I'm ready for my purse, my bag. I want my pretty bag because, baby, I'm going to pack it around. You best believe that. So as I was looking into the farmers, I realized that I want y'all to see this too. There's a thing called Acre Trader, right? Acre Trader is a investment company that, let me see, because I wrote it down. It is Acre Trader is owned by Proteria Investment Partners. It is a private equity firm that acquired the farmland investment platform in August of 2025. While founder Carter Malloy created the company, investor JD Vance provided early funding through his venture fund, Naraya Capital. Proteria is the current owner of Acre Trader. Acre Trader is buying up property in Arkansas. So what they do is they look for farmland that has been lost for taxes or whatever. They buy it. You lose it, bankruptcy issues, they buy it. And what they do is they take that property and they farm it out or do whatever they want to do with that. But they have, for $15,000, you can get in on the ground floor of that, right? So let's look at some of what Acre Trader is, what the people on TikTok are saying about Acre Trader. Did I put up my fair use? Yes, my fair use banner is up, but let me make sure I flash it because I didn't do it earlier. The first video was from MSNBC, the video talking about the farmers. It was from MSNBC. This last one before that was from TikTok with the farmers praying. So I definitely want to make sure I invoke fair use. Fair use disclaimer. Some material in this video is used under U.S. Copyright Fair Use, Section 107, for purposes such as commentary, criticism, news reporting, and education. We are doing a bunch of commentary. I'm doing a lot of commentaries and criticism, reporting a little bit of the news and giving a little bit of education. We did that education earlier about the subsidies and the entitlement. And this is the last thing we're going to talk about is this farmland. Let's talk about what Acre Trader is. Let's go.
10% of Acre Trader. At least that's what I was told yesterday. No. So I went to Snopes. I checked with like Google AI, Grok, a lot of different places. Essentially, yeah, remember JD Vance founded Naraya Capital. In their venture capital firm, they gave money to, like, it was up to $65,000 to Acre Trader. And
this is what happens when you fail to think, right? This gentleman actually said he had Grok about Acre Trader. So we know that Acre Trader was founded by Carter Malloy, right? But JD Vance funded it through his company, right? Which automatically gives him a percentage of the company. He has, regardless of what this man thinks, JD Vance has shared. He has a share in an Acre Trader.
And there's no evidence that he still is invested in that. He left his job there. It's like so think high-end like mutual funds, because you have to be like a accredited SEC trader to be able to buy into this. So regardless, whatever. I guess if that's the truth, you know, if he owns $65,000 in this probably multi-million-dollar company, I have mutual funds in stocks, and
he's just rambling. He's just rambling because he don't know what to say. Acre Trader is now owned by Proteria Investments, right? JD Vance still owns stock. JD Vance, the vice president, still owns stock. They are trying to get their hands on as many pieces of property as they can. Let's look at the Acre Trader. Because I did pull it up. Let me see what y'all talking about first. You sound like my husband fussing. Exactly. That's us over here. He orders just as much as I do, if not more. I got the glow getting bag. I love it. Really? Oh my goodness. I'm waiting for my I got the canvas translucent bag. I got the brown. I can't wait to see I love a clear bag. I love a clear bag that I can put my purse and stuff in and pack around with me. I have a bag now that I pack everywhere I go that's clear. Learn so much for your channel that actually gets legit into this video. Thank you. You're welcome. This administration keeps its hands in the cookie jar. The corruption is stunning. It's like, does anybody else see this besides us? Let's look at this. At what I saw when I looked up Acre Trader. Acre Trader, come on down here. You can invest in Acre Trader. They have Acre Trader employs a thorough review process, eliminates the vast majority of parcels. We evaluate parcels, just means property. We regularly post new offerings. You can create an account, book a meeting. You do a 15-minute meeting with the CEO, and he tells you what they expect, all the little ins and outs of what the interest in owning entire farm or 1031 exchange. He talks to you about all of that stuff. For the farmer, it tells you that equality financing that puts you in control every step of the way. And then it tells you all the little parts: expand, improve, transition. This is what they tell you. But Acre Trader means you're going to have investors in your farm. I hope they understand that. I hope no one signs up for Acre Trader and does not read the entire thing. You can request for an introductions, connect your clients with time-tested assets, bringing transparency to an underutilized asset class. And it goes through and talks about the investments, what you can look for, and how some of these investments have yield money. Yeah, so you can sign up for Acre Trader. 15, I think either 1,500 or 15,000. I'm not really sure which one, but good luck. Good luck. They have been trying to get their hands on property in Arkansas and other states for years. And if you got property in Arkansas, hold on to it. Don't let them people have your stuff. Don't be silly. Hold on to your stuff. Be aware of what's going on in this world. Be aware. Like I said, politics can be one of the things you hate to get into, but you need to be hearing and seeing what's going on because they're telling us what's happening. I'm not a person who wants to spread fear, but I do think that it's time that we start getting things put into our home, stock up on some rice, some beans, some water, just in case something happens. I'm not saying you need to go buy years worth of water. I'm saying you need to buy enough at least for a month. Keep you some cash on hand. Because I don't know, we don't know what's coming up the pipe, but something's coming up the pipe. When all the writing is on the wall, you got to make sure you're watching it, okay? So make sure that you're doing the things to keep you and your family safe. I keep saying I ain't got your bag, girl. I got my bag. Yes, Queen Script, they've been doing this undercover for at least 30 years. This didn't just start. Remember, this didn't just start. This has been going. They've been talking about this, right? So we started here and now we're up here. That's where they are. So we have to do our part as humans. As people of this society, of this country, and make sure that we stay informed. Make sure we are property holders, that we hold on to that property. We do what it takes to keep us in control of our property. There is lithium, I believe, in the ground in Arkansas, and they're going around trying to buy up certain pieces of property for that reason, to get the minerals out, then to plant the farm. It's a lot of things. The government wants to control everything we do, including our food. They've been poisoning us with our food. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that on here, but this high fructose corn syrup and for high fructose syrup rather, and all this other stuff, these modified foods, y'all start planting you something. Start planting you some greens, some peas, some beans, and eat out your field. It is a reason why our forefathers ate from the ground. It is a reason. It's a reason. I saw a guy who does catering showed a chicken that he bought at a U.S. store, one he got in Jamaica. Vast difference. Vast difference. Ours are so packed with steroids and so on till they're this big, and that one over in Jamaica that is freshly farm raised is the size of a chicken. Y'all pay attention to what's going on in our world. This is such a shame. Some of these farmers will be bamboozled thinking this is a quick fix. Exactly. This is all about money. They've been taking land from us by hell and high water, mind you. Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you something. The other day, I was thinking about I was listening to the farmers, right? And thinking about my mom's. She used to do hair. One of the ladies whose hair she was doing, who's no longer with us anymore, she was telling me a story. I remember sitting at the shop, and she was telling me about her father, who she said was a sharecropper. I have a lot of stories, y'all. My mom was older, so I sat among all the old people, go outside and play. I'm that one that was sticking around trying to hear all the business. And she said her dad was a sharecropper, and the guy who he sharecropped for gave him a parcel of land. I think it was maybe a couple of acres or an acre to farm for himself and his family. He built a little house there. And the man told her dad it was his, he was gonna give it to him, yada, 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 yada. When her dad died, they took the land. They took the land. They took the land. You don't think the ancestors in Arkansas ain't shaking up some stuff? They shaking up some stuff. My grandfather was from Arkansas. My mama from Arkansas. They shaking up some stuff. My grandfather died picking cotton. Had a heart attack, massive heart attack. Didn't even have to be out there, but was so used to working. Didn't want to stay at home. Old man should have been at home resting. Little yellow hammer out there picking cotton. And passed away in the fields, picking cotton. Every time I hear that story, my heart gets heavy. Good man. Man who raised my mama, good family, big family. Passed away picking cotton. My aunt would always say, I went with him to the cotton field, and all I could do was bring his hat back home. You don't think the ancestors in Arkansas are shaking up the ground? Who worked the fields before you got all this heavy duty equipment? Who worked those fields? It may not have been you. It could have been your grandfather who owned it, your pappy, your pop, the big pawpaw, whatever y'all called them. They may have been the ones who owned those fields, but who worked those fields? Who picked the cotton? Who planted the cotton? Who was the one out there day and night in the sun, in the heat, trying to make a 5 cents a sack, 50-pound pack of cotton? They were getting nickels and pennies just so they could go back home and feed their families. And you don't think the ancestors are talking in Arkansas? They talking. I said I was going to play a little Charlie. Well, let me go over here and let's go through these comments one last time before I get up out of it. It impacts us all. I've been obsessed with off-grid living and survival skills, and you should be back already. Teach it to your children. Teach it to your children. My sister always says her best friend could survive through anything because she could eat beans out of a can. I think we all need to learn that. She said, I learned that when my husband was in the military, how we had to survive because we didn't get a lot of money. So that's something I think we all need to be worried about. My next trip is to Jamaica. I'm going to KFC. You know, they had KFC in Jamaica. Didn't care for it, but I'm not a big chicken eater either. Jesus, exactly. Well, that was something to hear about your granddaddy. Yes. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So let me tell you something. I'm proud of my grandfather left us a leg. Dog. When I tell you my grandfather was a brilliant man, he left his family a legacy. He left us a place on the hill. He left us some acreage. And although he planted cotton and picked cotton, my grandfather left Arkansas, went to California and worked and paid for his property. My mom would tell some of the stories of my papa that were, to me, just so amazing. I never got a chance to meet this guy. In fact, I talked about my aunt having the 9mm rims and my cousin having them placed on, she had them placed on DVD for us to watch. And it was the first time I actually got to see a actual shot of my grandfather. And when I tell you I boo-hooed and boo-hooed, I'm looking around my desk. I'm going to show y'all something before I get off live. Oh, where is it? You got to be close by. You got to be close by. Give me a second, you guys. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to step around. Oh, there it is. I see it. I'm going to show y'all something that was gifted to me. I told you I do genealogy, and I actually have done a lot of research on my family, other people's families. I've helped people find their family members. And I started this because I couldn't find my dad's mom when I was trying to put our family tree together. I found her through a lot of work. Our family was featured on Finding Your Roots on PBS. We had a young lady who was actually my cousin. She's my dad's oldest brother's granddaughter. He never knew he had another son. He never knew he had a son, but our DNA connected us. So I'll actually tell you guys about that show in another video, and I'll talk to you guys about genealogy. But I want to show y'all this. I was gifted these. Oh, let me take my background off so you guys can see my walls are white, period. So you'll be able to see once I remove this background. Visual effects. Let's get it out of there. There we go. My walls are white, so it doesn't matter. I was gifted all of these letters, and I put them in the shadow box. These letters were written to my mom's older sister, not her oldest sister, but her older sister. And some are from my grandfather, some are from my auntie, and some are from my grandmother. My grandmother died in 1950. She was 49 years old. These letters are marked post-dated 1940s. I'm going to show it to you again. This telegram was sent to my aunt in California when my grandmother died. This telegram. It was 1950. The rest of these, this is from my mama's oldest sister to her next oldest sister in California. They're both deceased. And this is my grandmother. Before my mom died, yes, with Dr. Gates, my family was featured on there. I think it was season 8, episode 10, but don't mark me on that. I will post it in my stories one day so you guys can see it. But before my mom died last year, she died in April of last year. So in 2023, she came over and we were talking. We're having lunch. I fixed her some lunch, and I took the pens out because I took these out for her to read. And when I handed her these letters, the look on her face, she went, "That's my mama's writing." My mama lost her mom when she was 15. And my mom hasn't seen her mother's handwriting at that point had been years, right? My grandmother died in 1950. And so in 70 some odd years, my mother had not seen her mother's handwriting. But when I showed her these letters, because I took them all out and gave them to her, She read them one by one. And in one of the letters, my grandmother was sick and she was telling my aunt, she said, I hope the Lord lets me live long enough to see my mom. She put her name. They call my mom a sister. Sister graduate from the 8th grade. And my mom just rubbing her. Oh, getting teary-eyed. Just the thought of her having that contact with her mom. Again, my mom lost her mom at 15. My mama grieved her mom until the day she died. I lost my mom. Of course, I'm in my 50s, but she lost her mom at 15. And she had a good mom. So I can't say her mom was bad. She had a great mom. But when I handed her those letters, it was almost as though she became a child. So when I say that the ancestors are taking care of Arkansas, I mean it with everything in me. Do you hear me? I mean it with everything in me. The ancestors are taking care of Arkansas. They definitely are. They're the thing. I'm not sad. Trust me, I'm not sad. I have had the best of both worlds. A great mom, a great legacy. So when you see tears, it's because I miss her. But that's it. That's it. I was not going to cry today. And I don't even know why. I'm such an emotional being. But this right here means everything to me. My cousin, who is getting up in age, she said, I had stored these in a closet. And she said, I didn't know what I would do with them. She lost her daughter to COVID. She said she would have been the only person I would have handed them down to. So she said, I know that you love history, so I'm going to give you these. Keep them safe. Protect them at all costs. And so I have given instructions to my children on what to do with this if something is to happen to me. But these are to be protected at all costs because this is history. This is my history. This is my mama's history. And I'm glad I was able to share this history with my mom. My mom has a letter that was written from her dad that she's kept. But to have this many letters from a lady who died in 1950, this is amazing. And they're preserved in such good shape. Maybe back then the paper was better, but it's yellow, but it's not horribly yellow. The writing, the penmanship is legible. Of course, they were country. So some of the writing, I hope her did, a little country. But when I tell you I cherish this, I went to California a few years ago, and before I left, I had this on the wall, but I took it down to show my mom, and I never put it back on my wall. And that's what I was looking for because I knew it was around my desk, but I didn't see it anywhere around here. So I was like, I know it's close by because it was over here because I don't want it to get too far. Don't be teary-eyed, Rocks. Please don't be teary-eyed. You know what? I count it a blessing to have had and experienced a good mom, a good dad. I can't say mom without dad, although mom lived longer. I had her longer than I had dad. But I had good parents. I had God-fearing parents who my mom used to tell me, she said, honey, between the prayer on my knees and the ones on these trees, you're gonna be a good kid. You're gonna get it together because I was that kid that was that gave her a little bit of trials and troubles. And I appreciate her. And I remember when I turned about 23, 24, graduated college and got my nursing degree and all that, she said, "Ooh, girl." She wiped her brush and said, "You had me worried for a while." You had me worried for a minute. She said, but I'm so proud of you. Do you know what it feels like to have your mama say she's proud of you? That meant the world to me. This lady who I thought didn't like me when I was a kid, and especially as a teenager, because baby, when I tell you she didn't want me to go out, no dates, I couldn't go outside, I couldn't do nothing. And the very fact that she allowed me to be me, and she allowed me to be me in a form that she didn't let me get out of control. She kept her thumb on me. I love basketball. I wanted to go to basketball games. My mom was so afraid that I would be I guess mistreated or hurt some type of way. She would go with me. We spent a lot of time together. And as I became an adult, I really learned to appreciate my mom, really love her completely. So to be able to share the moment with her, giving her those letters, and her, like I said, she took the paper and she took her hand and she said, oh my goodness, put her face up to it. Y'all, that's why I cried, just because I saw that moment again. I actually took a picture and a video of her reading the letters, her rubbing her hands on the letters, and her telling me what was going on, because she was able to relive that time in history with her mom, who she lost at the age of 15. My mom's mom, who probably wasn't thinking that she was giving my mom any kind of trauma, called her to her bedside as she was dying. And she said, I want you to take care of your little sister, because my mom had a baby sister at the time. And she said, it's just you and her left at home. She said, you take care of your daddy. Make sure he gets his meals, because my grandmother cooked 3 meals a day. And my mom would tell the story over and over. You make sure he gets this 3 meals a day and that he's taken care of. And you make sure the house is clean and you finish raising your sister. And my mama said, she said, oh, mama, don't talk like that. She said, grandmother jumped back and she said, I'm not afraid to die. I've raised you. You can finish raising your sister. She said, but I'm not gonna live long, sister. My mother carried that with her until she died. I was going through her photo album and I was running through some pictures, and I found a picture of this little girl with a little hat on her head. I say little girl, she was a teenager. And so I took the picture. I was like, Mama, who is this? Who is this? And she said, oh my God, where'd you find that? I said, it was in the photo album. She said, that's my mama. And she rubbed her hand again every time she would see pictures. That's why I said she grieved her mom. Maybe not crying, screaming, and like I do when I talk about my mom. My mom just died last year. But when she saw that picture, it was like she became like a child. She said, oh, that's my mama. That's my mama. This is my mama as a little girl. She said, this is my mama before she married my daddy. My grandmother was 14 when she married my grandfather. So to even see that picture and know the resemblance behind it. So that from that point on, I started pulling all these pictures. Who is this mama? Who is this? Because I knew my days with my mom was getting short. So I needed to document as much as I could about history and about family so that I could share this information with my family. And that's what I did. I just found out as much as I could, put it in some scrap papers and scrapbooks, wrote down as much as I could, videoed as much as I could, and put the rest into history, ancestry, I actually have started documentation for a book. So I really want to do some things for my family. I want them to know who they were. I don't want them growing up marrying their cousin, and I don't want their cousin growing up marrying them. I want them to know that's their cousin, right? I went to school with a gentleman, and one day we were just talking, and he said, I'm going to go by and see my Uncle Frank. So I said, Frank? He said, yes. So I didn't think nothing else about it. And so he said, yeah, he lived on so-and-so and so-and-so. I said, what's his name? And he told me again. I was like, that's my cousin. We went to school together. And we were cousins. Like, not distant relatives. We were close cousins. Close cousins. His uncle and my mom were first cousins. Cousins. We were cousins and didn't know each other. You have to know your family. You just have to know your family. So, anywho, I didn't mean to go out there. Oh my goodness, I done went off the Richter. And remember today, all the views that I said about Charlie was all my opinion. They were alleged, and they were for entertainment purposes because I just wanted to have a good kiki with you guys. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Anybody want to come on the screen? And if I can remember how to get the the thing up so the people can come up. Lord have mercy, you know I don't remember nothing. Thank you, Brown Girl Rocks. At least you didn't find sister and brother. If you go to, let me Google this real fast. If you go to Finding Your Roots, what was that girl's name? Finding My Roots, I'm sorry. I don't want to say we're in season 8. Because it happened during the pandemic. And y'all, I have to give y'all a story on how it happened, because I got a call from season 8, episode 3. And it's about Brittany P. Cunningham. She, Packnet is her maiden name. She actually is my cousin. I've never met her. I've talked to her through some little internet interaction, but I've never met her. She did her DNA. Her DNA matched with my brother on 23andMe. I have a 23andMe kit. I've done the Ancestry DNA, but I have not done the 23andMe kit. It's been sitting there for a year. My daughter told me I should be beaten for not doing it. I'm going to do it one day. I just have not gotten around to it. I've been busy. But she, great, Kashara. But she actually turned out to be my cousin. So if you want to see that episode, it is Finding Our Roots, season number, is it Our Root or Your Roots? Finding Your Roots, season 8, episode number 3, Brittany Packnet. And it talks about my family. Yes, that is my people. That is my people. I've been looking at those on YouTube and the Who Do You Think You Are episodes. Oh, wow, Brown Girl Rocks. I love Who Do You Think You Are. I love those episodes. And I really, when the lady called me, because she couldn't get a hold of my brother, because my brother is a prominent official in the city. And she sent me a message on Facebook, actually called me through Facebook. She texted me through Facebook first, and she said, "Can I call you?" And I said, "Yeah." And we talked, and she said, "I've been trying to get a hold of your brother." And I was like, "Well, you're not gonna get a hold of him. You're not, unless you are the mayor, you're not gonna get him." So she was like, okay. Can I talk to you? And so we talked, but I'll tell that story at a later date. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm so glad you guys came and sat with me and listened to me and watched my little crazy self cry. I'm trying not to cry, y'all, but I am such a crybaby. God's plan is so much greater, and your tears water your flowers today, as did mine. Thank you. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. When you find yourself in a place where, because last year was a rough year for me, and I think I've shared that. We were expecting my mom to pass. She was on hospice, and she had a couple of strokes, was passing away. And while waiting on my mom to pass, my brother dies of a heart attack, just suddenly, my oldest brother. And when I say that was like a ton of bricks, still is like a ton of bricks. But when I tell you, I know a man who can lift every burden, comfort the comfortless, and just keep your mind in perfect peace. That's the only person I reside on, is God. That is where I have found comfort. That is where I find peace. A lot of times, my mom's Bible is at my bedside. My mama had a stack of Bibles because she was a pastor. So I have a stack over here, a stack over there, because I've gone through them I want to pull out certain ones and give them to family members who have asked for some of her Bibles. Have a cousin who asked for a concordance, which I'm going to give to her. But I want to make sure my nieces and nephews and siblings have gotten everything that they want when it comes to Bibles and her books and things. But so I was going through her Bible the other day, and in the Bible was a little bit of it was a piece of paper, regular 8x11, and she had just written down everybody's name that she was praying for. And I had sat with her. My mama stayed on her knees. When I say this lady had a prayer life that I could only wish to have, only wish. I was like, Lord, let me be like my mom. She was such a strong woman. She had a strong prayer life, and she could fast like nobody I've ever met. Oh my Lord. I remember one time she was fasting. I was a teenager. And I don't know why I kept like, Mom, you want some of this? No, I don't want none of that. Mama, I'm going here. You want some? No, I don't want that. I kept trying to feed her. And so she just, no, I don't want any. I don't want any. Sometimes she just go in her room and close the door. And so after she got through fast, she said, I guess the devil's just using you to tip me. And I was like, what? She said, girl, I've been fasting for 2 weeks. I said, 2 weeks? You had no food in 2 weeks? She said, you hadn't realized it. I hadn't, because my mom would just, eat. She'd go in the den, get her little bottle of water, her and my dad, and she would cook. So I'm thinking she's eating what she's cooking. She was fasting, honey. But I believe her fasting and praying has gotten our family through a lot of hard troubles and times. Let me see. I'm trying to go back to where I stopped. Because I want to make sure I show everybody. My great-grandfather left each child 30 acres, his grandchildren. Oh, no. Over 100 acres. Queen Script. Now, I told you about my grandfather, but my grandfather's mother, my great-grandmother, also left us her land. It was over 100 acres she had purchased in 1917. I told that to someone the other day. We've owned that property for over 100 years. Now that my mom's gone, I've inherited it. And that property we still own. Now, mind you, some of the acreage has been, the people she bought it for, which came back and got 30 some acres. And then she gave 2 of her children house seeds. So we own the rest that is in the center that the 2 youngest children did not get. And we formed an LLC to protect that property because one of our cousins wanted to sue us to make us sell. And we decided we didn't want to sell. The majority didn't want to sell. We wanted to hold on to it. And if those who wanted to sell, we wanted to buy them out. And we made a very good plea. And we all my cousin dropped the lawsuit, and baby, we got together as a family and started making some moves. And that's what you have to do when it comes down to it. God ain't making no more land. So if you got some land, hold on to it. One last thing, do Lady Roa chat, watch Beyond the Gates soap opera. I'd love to talk with. Okay, I will. Beyond the Gates. I think I started watching that and just did not finish Beyond the Gates because I saw a commercial about it yesterday. My great parents were born into slavery, so disheartening. Brown Girl Rocks. Believe it or not, my mom's side came from Nigeria. Came from Africa. And I can only go back so far with my great-grandfather. And I get to a part where it says 3 Negro men, 2 Negro women. And then it, gives the number of boys and girls with them. So I can say that's my grandfather or whatever. I'm saying 2, it may be 4 or 5. I can't remember what the numbers were, but there's no name there. So I don't know if that's my grandfather or not. But I'm going to keep searching until I find him. What channel is it on? It's on PBS. Mm-hmm. We love that show. Is that Dr. Gates? Man, yes, it's Dr. Gates. And he did such a good job with the show. That is something I love that. My goodness. Hi, everybody. Hello, Gail Francis. Thanks for joining. Sending you love. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Michelle, an amazing story, Larry Roy. Thanks for sharing. I'm in tears too. Oh, I didn't mean to make anybody cry. Hey, Butterfly. Thanks for joining. Yeah. And you know what? I have very good memories. The part of that I really kind of bothers me the most is that I didn't get a chance to meet those good people, and be able to share that. But it's the reason why I was born the last and I'm the youngest of all of my grandparents' grandchildren. I am the youngest, like way down the line. My mama probably should have been done having kids. She was in her late 30s when I was born, but yeah, so most definitely love the very fact that my grandparents left a legacy. When I say left a legacy, they left a legacy. I could reach over here and grab this or reach over there and grab that. I also have a picture that my cousin gave me of my grandmother's only sister sitting on her porch in Arkansas. Y'all, this picture is amazing. I'm going to show it one day on here. It's downstairs in my living room, but in my formal living room, because I want it to be seen in the prettiness of the house. But it is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like something you would purchase but it's actually my great aunt sitting on her porch with something in her lap. I think she's sewing, because some old people, they didn't just sit idle. They were doing something. Even my mom's oldest sister, I can remember going to her house. I was like, can you sit still? Because she'd be doing this, this, and this. And she was always with a needle and thread. If she sat still, she went to sleep. Definitely went to sleep. God's plan is so much greater, and your tears water your flowers. We talked about that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Those letters are priceless. They are priceless, and I treasure them. Now I'm teary. Don't be teary eyed. Yes, you know yes, you know, I know with my crybaby. So exactly, Butterfly. We both crybabies. Yes, Miss AKA, how are you and Chanel doing? Yes, it's so good to have Butterfly in here. I don't know if I'm at the end or not. Great live. Thank you. Let's set the YouTube. Who you think you are? We talked about that one. What's her name again? Brittany Packnett Cunningham. She actually was a part of Obama's cabinet. And you know, when the lady called me, she was like, I can't tell you who it is because she's a celebrity or celebrity status. I need to run. I'll run back and catch what I missed. Excellent live. See you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye. Have a good day. This is my favorite show. Her name. Oh, what's living for me? PBS or Prime. It's on PBS. Actually, look at it on Google it, because the old episodes, I believe, are on PBS.com. I believe they are. We have a land and house in Trinidad, and most of us here in the U.S., but we have been keeping it up. Keep it up, Gail Francis. Don't let it go nowhere. Don't let it go. My bestest family, great-grandfather, left the same blessings as you. Land ownership. They found Kaylin on it and opened an LLC. Now they have companies mining. Wow. That is awesome. I'm going to tell you something. My great-grandmother's land has lithium on it in Arkansas. That's part of the reason why we decided to protect it. Why sell it? Why sell it? It's been in the family this long. Why sell it? It's full of timber, hardwood, pine, all of it. Why sell it? It's crazy. It doesn't make sense. I was given to the chat. I watched. Oh, you do? Okay. Yes. So yeah, I said I wanted to pull down that, see if anybody wants to come up. But y'all, I'm gonna have to remember where I actually saw that thing yet where you can, oh, there it is. Where you can invite people. Because, Chad, y'all know I be over just touching buttons. Because I don't be knowing nothing. I don't be knowing a thing. Just be touching some buttons. Just, once you get out the way. Thank you. Y'all, my help button won't move so I can do it. In my... Child, I guess you don't want me to post it. Y'all, let me find us a Charlie Wilson tune. We're going to just get about 15 seconds of Charlie, and we're going to get on up out of here. I love me some Charlie. That's the only Charlie that's the only Charlie that I know about. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.